I love James Burrows, and I'm currently making an effort to watch some of the shows where James Burrows directed a lot of the episodes, and one of those shows is Taxi. The other reason I was drawn to this is Rhea Perlman does appear in some episodes. According to IMDb, she was actually meant to be in the first episode, but the scenes were deleted. But nevertheless, I've now watched Like Father, Like Daughter, which is the first episode of the first season of Taxi, and it's very early days. I haven't quite got a grasp of the comedy style yet, so I can't really say if I'm going to end up loving this show. I can't really talk about what the style of comedy is like because I didn't really get a strong sense. But what I think will work about this show is that given that it's based at a taxi rank and it's about taxi drivers, I feel like this could give us a lot of different scenarios. And I think that this could work really well. So I'm very hopeful. I will talk about what happens in the episode and share some thoughts, but it is very early days and I can't really say too much about it yet. Time will tell. So we do have a cast including Judge Hirsch, Jeff Conaway, Danny DeVito, Marilu Henner, Tony Danza, Randall Carver, and Andy Kaufman. I will say the characters all seem pretty interesting. Elaine, Marilu Henner's character, is actually new to the taxi rank. She's come along to sign up as a taxi driver, a part-time taxi driver. She's very quick to let us know that. And I feel like we could be discovering other characters through her eyes for the first time since she is new to the taxi rank. So I'm interested to see what happens with her character. Danny DeVito's character, Louie, spends the majority of the time behind the cage, as in controlling everything with the controls. That was the most eloquent way of saying that. And I'd say he got the biggest laugh, but it wouldn't be as effective today. Or he got one of the biggest laughs because at one point he does come out from behind the cage, and because Danny DeVito is significantly shorter than everybody else, it was supposed to be very funny. But of course, Danny DeVito is significantly more well known today, so I don't think the, element of surprise there would have been more entertaining at the time than today. And I do think there will be times when this is certainly a product of its time. But that actually works in the episode's favour because the narrative comes about because they realise that the payphone at the taxi rank is, well, it's a little bit magical. Because if you put your coin in, it will spit the coin back out, meaning that you can make unlimited free phone calls. And we get a bit of comedy here with the characters all lining up, making phone calls. And I guess the big question there is if you could make a free phone call, where would you phone? And they're making these international calls. And then Alex, played by Judd Hirsch, decides he wants to phone his daughter. He hasn't seen his daughter in 15 years. I should point out there will be spoilers as I explain what happens in the episode. So spoilers from now. And he phones up and we learn that actually his daughter is heading off to college and she's going to college in Portugal. And Alex kind of realises this might be the last chance he has to see her, at least in a very long time. And he then goes off to the airport, Miami airport. This is set in New York, so quite an effort he has to make to go there. And there's no passage of time in the episode. We go from one scene where he decides he wants to go, and then in the next scene we're actually at the airport. And this is interesting for me because I don't like, generally speaking, TV shows where they're heavily set inside a vehicle. I just find road trip films to be so boring, and by extension, I feel like 2.5 Men is the only sitcom that actually is entertaining when they're inside a car. So I did wonder if we'd spend a lot of time inside the taxis, inside the vehicles. And if that does happen, I'm not saying I'm going to write it off or anything, but that was something unexpected and I was really pleasantly surprised with how much we jumped forward in time. And we get to the airport, and once again, it is a product of its time as Alex walks straight up to the front desk and says that he's looking for his daughter. And immediately the woman at the desk looks down at her paper and says, yes, she's here. That would never happen in an airport today. So that was a little jarring. And then we have a scene between Alex and his daughter. And what's really good about this is that we, the viewer, know nothing about Alex. We've spent maybe 15 minutes with the character at this point, but because Alex has to very quickly tell his daughter a little bit about his life and who he is, or who he isn't, because we learn that his daughter's mother kind of lied about what Alex did for a profession, we, the viewer, actually get to find out the truth about who he is. And this is a really creative way of introducing us to the character, his livelihood, and even a little bit about his past and his background. So it was an interesting way to get to know the character, and it worked quite well. It was a little bit sweet at one point, so not a bad way to start things off. I do think taking us away from the taxi rank in the first episode for about a good quarter of the episode was definitely an interesting choice, because I feel like if we'd spent the entire episode there, I might have got a better understanding of some of the other characters. But we do have 21 other episodes of the first season to flesh those aspects out. So I'm keen to see what happens going forward. I genuinely don't know what to expect. I don't know what any of the characters are going to be like. I will say that I found Andy Kaufman's character to be insufferably irritating. He plays Latka Gravas, and I really hated his character. I'm going to go into each episode with an open mind. I'm not going to become irritated as soon as his character is on screen, but we're going to have significant changes for that character for me to like him. I found him to be very annoying. But we'll see what that's like going forward. Maybe over time I'll find the character a little less insufferable. Really looking forward to Elaine as a character. She is the principal female character, if you like, and I'm keen to see what they do with that character. I'm hoping we don't get too much sexism, but this was released in the late 70s, so it would be a product of its time if that's what we get. But maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised with that one. Who knows? Very, very early days, and as a James Burrows fan, I'm very willing to give it a proper go. But at the moment, I actually don't have any opinions on this. I didn't dislike it. I didn't love it. Alex as a character is really likeable. I really liked his character. I took to him very quickly. Elaine, we know basically nothing about, but I am looking forward to finding more about that character. Latka, as I said, exceptionally irritating. Keen to see how frequently Rhea Perlman is in this. According to IMDb, she plays John's girlfriend. John is played by Randall Carver, and I have no opinions on John, no opinions on Bobby or Tony. I don't have any opinions on Louie either, other than the fact that I liked Danny DeVito, so I liked when he was on screen. But as a character, I don't feel anything towards Louie yet. So honestly, I have no idea what to expect going forward, but I also have no idea how I'll feel about it. So time will tell. I have bought the season 1 box set, so hopefully it's a show that I really enjoy and we get a sprinkle of James Burrows magic. But for now, all I can say is Like Father, Like Daughter was pretty interesting. I'm very hopeful, but I have no idea what to expect going forward.